Most people are going to go to sleep tonight in the exact same place they woke up 5 years ago. Not because they don't want to change, not because they're lazy, but because nobody ever showed you how discipline actually works inside your brain and what happens when you activate it the right way in the first 523 seconds of your day. That's right, 8 minutes and 43 seconds. That's all that separates the version of you that exists today from the version you picture when you close your eyes. Stay with me here, because what I'm about to show you is going to change how you start every single day for the rest of your life. Before I explain what these 523 seconds are, I need you to understand something about discipline that nobody has probably ever told you. Most people think discipline is willpower, that it's dragging yourself out of bed, going to the gym without wanting to, studying when your brain is begging for Netflix, that it's basically choosing to suffer on purpose. And that's exactly why most people fail. Because willpower is a limited resource. It runs out every single day. And when it runs out, you fall back into the same patterns, the same couch, the same guilt loop that makes you feel like you were just never built to be a disciplined person. But here's the truth that neuroscience research has been showing for years. Discipline isn't about willpower, it's about activation routine. There's a specific moment in your day, a small window right after you wake up, where your brain is in its most flexible state. That's the moment where behavioral patterns are written most easily. That's the window where you can literally reprogram who you become. And that window lasts exactly 523 seconds. Let's talk about the real problem first. Have you ever started a Monday completely fired up, with that feeling of, this time it's going to be different? You made a spreadsheet, organized your schedule, drank lemon water, wrote down your goals, and by Thursday, you'd already quit. That's not weakness, that's biology. Your brain has a system called the default mode network, or in plain terms, autopilot mode. It's your brain's automatic pilot, and its job is to keep you doing exactly what you've always done, because what you've always done is safe, it's familiar, it's comfortable. The problem is that your autopilot doesn't know the difference between a good habit and a bad one. It only knows what's frequent, what's repeated, what's established. So when you try to build discipline through willpower, you're basically trying to swim against a massive current. You might swim hard the first few days, but the current is stronger, and eventually you stop. The solution isn't to swim harder, it's to change the direction of the current. And that's exactly what the 523 seconds do. Now let me explain how this actually works in practice. When you wake up, in the first few minutes, your brain is still coming out of the theta state, which is deep sleep, and moving into the alpha state. The alpha state is where creativity and openness are at their highest. It's where TV ads work on you. It's where meditation happens. It's where your subconscious is most receptive. Most people waste this moment by picking up their phone, opening Instagram, checking messages. And what happens? The brain gets flooded with outside information, anxiety, comparison, distraction, and the autopilot for the whole day gets set to chaos. But if you use those first few minutes with intention, you set your day's autopilot with intention, with clarity, with direction. And here's how the 523 seconds break down. The first 60 seconds are what I call the zero moment. You open your eyes, and before anything else, you don't touch your phone. You stay lying down for 60 seconds and do one thing only. Take 3 deep breaths and think of one word, just one. It can be focus, it can be calm, it can be the name of someone you love, it can be win. What matters is that it's a word that represents who you want to be that day. This sounds too simple to work, but what you're doing is creating a neural anchor, a trigger that your brain will associate with presence and intention. From 60 seconds to 3 minutes, you do something that's going to sound weird. You move. It doesn't have to be the gym. It doesn't have to be an intense workout. You get up, go to the window, do 10 squats, 10 push-ups, jump a few times.
anything that gets the blood moving, because in the first minutes of the day, your cortisol, the hormone that gives you energy and alertness, is naturally at its peak. If you use it, you amplify it. If you ignore it and stay in bed scrolling, it drops. And when cortisol drops too early, you spend the whole day dragging, no energy, no drive to do what needs to get done. From 3 minutes to 6 minutes, you write. Not a long journal, not a complex plan. 3 lines, just 3. The first line is, what am I going to do today that my future self will thank me for? The second line is, what am I not going to do today that would hold me back? And the third line is, why does this matter to me? Writing by hand activates parts of the brain that typing doesn't. It creates a deeper connection to what you write. When you write your goals down, you're not just remembering them, you're reinforcing the identity of someone who goes after those goals. And from 6 minutes to the full 523 seconds, which lands at about 8 minutes and 43 seconds, you do what I call the silence window. No music, no podcast, no notifications. You're just present. You can drink a glass of water. You can look out the window. You can make coffee. What matters is that no outside information enters your head, because these last few minutes are where everything you just did settles in. It's where the brain locks in the intention you created. Cutting that short with outside noise is like planting a seed and pulling it out before it can grow. I know what you're thinking right now. This sounds too easy. If it was just this, everyone would be disciplined. And that's exactly where most people get it wrong. Discipline isn't hard because it demands a lot. Discipline is hard because it demands consistency in the simple stuff. And the simple stuff is what we underestimate the most. Have you ever seen someone say they're going to transform their life and start with an insane plan? Wake up at 4 a.m., 2 hours at the gym, read a book, meditate, learn a language, plan the business, all before 7 a.m.? The first week feels incredible. The second week, they're exhausted. By the third week, they've completely quit. And then comes the guilt. I knew this wasn't for me. I can never stick to anything. But the problem wasn't the person. The problem was the size of the system. The human brain learns through small repetition, not massive effort. A study from University College London showed that a new behavior takes an average of 66 days to become automatic, but that number depends on how simple the behavior is. The simpler it is, the faster it becomes a habit. The more complex it is, the longer it takes, and the more chances you have of quitting before you get there. The 523 seconds are simple, they're short, they're manageable. They're the kind of thing you can do hungover, tired, with a baby crying, on the hardest day of the month. And that's exactly why they work. But there's another level here that I need to show you. After a few weeks of doing the 523 seconds every day, something starts to happen that you didn't expect. You start to want more.
Not because someone forced you to, not because you felt guilty, but because your brain started to associate the morning with accomplishment, with clarity, with power. And the brain is addictive. When it feels something good, it wants to repeat it. This is what behavioral researchers call the reward loop, and it's exactly what makes habits automatic. At first, you do the 523 seconds because you decided to. After a few weeks, you do it because your brain wants to. After a few months, you do it because not doing it feels strange. It feels incomplete. That's when discipline stops being an effort and becomes part of who you are. And when you reach that point, everything changes. Not just the morning, the whole day changes, because a morning with intention creates a ripple effect. You made a good decision early, so it gets easier to make another good decision after that, and another. And another. Psychologists call this the small win effect. Every good choice you make increases the chances of you making another good choice right after. The opposite is also true. When you start the day in chaos, on your phone, in laziness, on autopilot, every bad choice pulls the next one along. And at the end of the day, you're wondering how you ended up there again.
It all starts in the first 523 seconds. Now, let me be honest with you about something. There are going to be days where it's hard. There's going to be a morning where everything inside you just wants to stay in bed. There's going to be a day where it feels like nothing you do matters. There's going to be a moment where that voice in your head says, "Not today, I'll make up for it tomorrow." And those are the days where discipline is actually built. Not on the easy days. Anyone can show up on easy days. Real discipline is what you do when you don't want to do it. It's the small action you choose even without motivation. It's the 523 seconds you complete even when your whole body is asking you to go back to sleep. Every time you do that, you send a message to your own brain. I am the kind of person who keeps the promises they make to themselves. And that message, repeated day after day, becomes your identity. Identity is more powerful than motivation. Motivation is an emotion. It comes and goes. Identity is who you believe you are, and you always act in line with who you believe you are. So the question isn't, how do I stay motivated every day? The question is, who do I decide to be? Let me give you a concrete challenge so you leave here with something real. For the next 7 days, every single day, before anything else, before your phone, before coffee, before any conversation, you do the 523 seconds, exactly like I described. 60 seconds breathing and choosing a word, 2 minutes moving your body, 3 minutes writing 3 lines, and the last few minutes in silence. That's it. 7 days. I'm not asking you to become a different person overnight. I'm asking for 8 minutes and 43 seconds every day for 7 days. And then tell me what changed, because I know what's going to happen. After 7 days, you're going to feel a difference. Not dramatic, not cinematic, but real. You're going to notice your day starts with more calm, that your decisions feel a little more deliberate, that you feel a little more in control. And then you'll understand, in practice, what I've been telling you here. Discipline isn't about being perfect, it's about being consistent. And consistency starts small. It starts in 523 seconds. The version of you that you want to be isn't waiting for a perfect Monday, for motivation that never shows up, for ideal circumstances that are never going to come. It's waiting for a decision, a small one today, right now. And you start tomorrow morning, before you touch your phone, before you check any notification, before anything. You close your eyes, you breathe, you choose a word, and that's where everything begins. But before you go, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and drop the word decision in the comments as a sign of your commitment and dedication to your own change.